Hello. It's good to see you. I'm sorry I couldn't read any of the story over the weekend. I was gone most of the day Saturday, and then Sunday I was dealing with a horrific migraine. Actually, when I made that Aldi video, I had a screaming headache through that whole video. It was rough, but I got through it. So I didn't do any reading because I just was not up to it. But we are coming up hard and fast on the end of part 1. This is the last we have of part 1. I'm not going to finish all this today because it's already 9:30 at night and I have to get up early in the morning, but I want to read at least a little bit. I got my pen for corrections if I catch a typo, which occasionally if you see me scratching on here, I found a typo. Anyway, okay, sorry. We're starting with chapter 118. I'm doing better now. My headache's gone. Litty took her Advil. That's funny. Litty has a headache too, I guess. Litty took her Advil, drank some more water, and was allowed to rest for a few minutes on a bench outside of the window of a small satellite pharmacy inside of the hospital. She picked at the rolled edge of her paper cup and stared at the tops of her feet. Fedra sat down beside her. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "I'm thinking I don't know what to think." Fedra took the empty cup out of her hands and put it in a nearby trash can. "That's understandable," she said, sitting back down on the bench. "It's a lot to process, isn't it? I don't know what's real anymore. So you're saying that a lot of what I believed to be real was just illusions? My mind just made stuff up?" "That's what I'm saying." "I'm having a hard time believing that." "What can I do to help you?" "Nothing. You're part of the problem. I mean, I've seen you all over the place. You've been following me for weeks." "When was the first time you believe you saw me?" "At Jerry's strip club. Gentleman's club." "What was I doing there?" "I don't know. You were in one of the private rooms and I assumed you worked there. You kissed me and then you grabbed my hair and pulled me down on the floor, backwards." "Uh-huh. And the next time?" "Bitch." "I beg your pardon?" "You gave me a business card that had the word bitch on it. That was at Jerry's club." "And the next time?" "I saw you at the Angry Aardvark." "What is that?" "A thrift store. You were behind the counter like you worked there." "Sounds like I'm working all over the place. I wonder how I find time to juggle everything." "I feel like I've seen you other places too, but I can't think of where right offhand." "Litty, I can assure you that I've never been inside Jerry's club, and I've never even heard of the other, what was the name of the other place? Angry Aardvark. Yeah, I've never even heard of that. Is it here in Greensboro?" "Yeah." "What do you believe happened when you saw me there, if anything?" "You told me I looked old, and then you cut my face with the metal post of an earring." "Where on your face do you believe I cut you?" Litty motioned to her cheek. "I don't see any scars or indications that you were ever cut there or anywhere else on your face." "How long ago do you believe this incident occurred?" "Back before Halloween. But you wouldn't see anything there because Aiden healed it as soon as he saw it." "Was Aiden there too?" "Yeah, he was in a dressing room trying on clothes when it happened." "Was anyone else in the store?" "I don't remember. I assume there were other people. Actually, maybe not. I don't remember anybody else being there except for you and Aiden." "Litty, I wasn't there. Like I said, I've never heard of this place." Litty rubbed her eyes. "This is all just... I hate this." Fedra stood up and held out her hand. "Come on. We'll go back into the office where it's a little more private and more comfortable than this bench." Litty took her hand and stood up. She looked into Fedra's eyes. "What is it?" Fedra asked. "I just had the weirdest feeling. I felt like... Have you ever woken up from a super realistic dream and you thought the stuff in the dream actually happened, but then after you've been awake a few minutes..." Litty tried to pull her hand away, but Fedra held on tight. After a few minutes, you start to realize it wasn't real at all, Litty said. Then it starts to fade away. You start to forget about it altogether. Fedra cocked her head slightly and gave her a look of sadness. Litty's eyes filled with tears again. I don't want to forget, she said, now trying harder to pull her hand away. I'm not asking you to, Fedra said, gripping Litty's hand even tighter. You just have to see it for what it is, a fantasy. That's all it is. That's all it ever was. Litty grabbed Fedra's gripping fingers and pulled them off her hand. She turned and immediately started running down the hall, but she only made it a few steps before she collapsed face first and skidded to a stop on the floor. Chapter 119. Fedra breezed through the stairwell door leading to the rooftop of Jerry's apartment shortly after lunchtime. He was busy painting a picture of a woman screaming. Nice, she said, coming up from behind and startling him a little. Is this from memory? He grinned and looked at his work. Yeah, this was the first player for my new game. Her reaction was the best. One guy shit himself too, but I didn't want to paint that. I can imagine. How'd the game go? Pretty well. We're definitely going to feature it at the next party. We need to buy up some apartments lower down so guests can go down there and see the players up close when they drop. We could do that. Where's Aiden? He was acting weird. I wanted him to help me out with my new game, but he didn't want to. Didn't want to? Did he actually say that? He told me to get 4 to do it, so I swapped him and 4. Like I put Aiden over there watching the players. He pointed across the way where the players were left waiting their turn. And then 4 came over here. It worked out great because 4's reactions were way better, more dramatic. What did Aiden say to you? It's not really what he said, other than him refusing to do what I told him. He gave me this look, He squinched up his face and grinned slightly, then straightened his face out. Like that. Fedra crossed her arms. I can't imagine Aiden ever making a face like that. He said I was wrong. Wrong? This is wrong, and you're wrong. Talking to me. And then he made a face. I can't really mimic it. Can you paint it? Does it really matter? Go over there and talk to him yourself if you're so curious. He pointed again in the direction that he had indicated earlier. 4 had turned the loud music off after the last player was called earlier. Fedra walked over in the direction that Jerry pointed and found Aiden sitting alone in a folding chair surrounded by open bags of trash. What are you doing over here? She asked. He looked up at her slowly. Why are there a bunch of trash bags around here? Party, Aiden whispered. Fedra pulled up a chair beside him. I hear you've been refusing work and making strange faces. She touched his sleeve and he flinched slightly. What's going on with you? Sad, he said, staring at one of the bags of trash. No one wants to deal with your problems, Aiden. Keep them to yourself. You're here to do a job, not mope about things in your own life. You seem to have trouble remembering that. Good thing someone reported this issue to your boss, don't you think? He deserves to know what you've been up to. Aiden continued staring straight ahead. Fedra placed her hand on top of his. Actually, your boss only knows about your antics in Dalton Fisher at this point. Imagine how upset he'd be to learn what you've been up to lately. She got out of her chair and knelt in front of him, holding his face in her hands. I've gone to a great deal of trouble to right this wrong, Aiden. It's taken me away from my work for months and put my own status in jeopardy. We're both rogue agents at the moment. I'm trying to save you from yourself. Aiden stared into her eyes, but he appeared to have no interest in anything she had to say. I know you're planning on leaving. She sighed and then laughed. I've picked up one of your favorite human habits, huh? Sighing. You said it calms you down. I don't feel that, but I catch myself doing it anyway. She moved up closer. Aiden, listen to me. You need to be taught a lesson so you never do this again. Things are going to get worse for your friend before I let you go. Not because I want to punish her. Well, I do, but it's mainly to help you remember to stay away from her and not try anything like this ever again. If this doesn't work... Aiden looked away from her and watched a large pigeon fly past them directly overhead. He smiled, recognizing it as the one he'd helped the day before. Fedra looked up and saw the bird, then looked back at Aiden, frustrated. Do you not understand how serious this is? Look at me. He turned his attention back to her. If you don't learn your lesson this time, I'm going to make sure your boss finds out everything, and you won't be the only one he punishes. I'll make sure he knows about Denali, too. So think about that. Aiden pushed his chair back a little to put some space between them. You saw us skating, he said slowly. What? You were here, he yawned. You watched us from the window downstairs. Fedra gripped the armrests of Aiden's folding chair. Yes, I did. You melted the glass. There are fingerprints. He yawned again. Indentations, not prints, but yes, that was me. I didn't know, he whispered, nodding off a little. Fedra slapped his leg to wake him up. She dug into his jacket pocket and pulled out the piece of Litty's bracelet. He perked up immediately. That's more like it, she said, scooting forward. He studied her face, confused. What are you doing here? He said in a voice more forceful than before. You won't remember any of this, she said, but I'm here to help you. The hell you are, he said, and he started to get up out of his chair. She pushed him down hard and shoved the piece of the bracelet back in his jacket pocket. He didn't fight back. You'll leave here and never come back, she said. You'll stay away from Litty until her time is up. Do you understand? He nodded slowly. This is for your own good, she said. She kissed his lips and faded away. 2 weeks later, Litty and Fedra sat in the small office, staring at each other. It was 7:59 a.m. Fedra glanced at her watch. Almost time. Litty nodded but didn't speak. There we go, Fedra said. 8 o'clock. She flipped through a few pages of notes in her clipboard. Yesterday, we discussed your relationship with your brother, Richard. Do you recall that? I do, Litty said, picking at one of the round silicone bits on the bottom of her gripper sock. Do you have anything further you wish to say beyond what we discussed yesterday? No. I do have a follow-up question. Has it ever bothered you that you and Richard were never close? I never thought about it, really. He and I don't have anything in common beyond our childhood together and the church stuff. Haven't you ever wished you could have more? From what you've said about your parents and grandparents, it doesn't sound like there was much love or affection to go around. They're not the huggy, squishy type, Litty said. Are you? I think it'd make me feel uncomfortable. Now for the question of the day. Have I seen any angels? No. I haven't seen or heard anything. So that's a little over 2 weeks, Fedra said, scribbling a note in her clipboard. Excellent. I have a surprise for you, but first, I want you to tell me a little bit about your feelings about that, about not seeing or hearing anything, especially with respect to Aiden. How's that make you feel? Litty glanced at her breakfast tray, which sat on top of a small cart nearby. I thought I was supposed to get a Snapple today. We're not worried about food or drinks right now. Please answer my question. How do you want me to answer it? Litty, come on. Let's not do this today. I'm depressed. I'm upset. I feel this sense of loss. Is that honestly how you feel, or are you just saying what you think I want to hear? It's how I really feel. I don't understand why my brain would conjure up something like that. But you do understand now that it's certainly capable of it, right? Remember when we discussed those two little imaginary friends you had as a kid? The penguin and the lizard? Litty looked over at her food tray again, furrowed her brow, and then turned her attention back to Fedra. That was different, she said. I always knew they weren't real. I couldn't actually see or hear either of them. They were make-believe. Your brain matured over time, Fedra said. It produced more and more complicated imagery, even crossing the threshold into mimicking reality to a point that you could no longer tell it apart from real things, real living things. I know, we've gone over this 1,000,000 times. Fedra stared at Litty intensely. Tell me you understand. I do, Litty said, looking away. I understand. My brain is broken. She sighed. It's okay. We're working very hard to fix it. So, you're feeling depressed and upset. You're dealing with a sense of loss. He was my best friend, Litty said, focusing on a tiny piece of lint on her hospital-issue pajama pants. I don't really have anybody else. She squeezed her fingernails into the palms of her hands to keep from crying. Look at me, Litty. Litty looked up at her. I never felt like I was lonely, she said, wiping her eyes. And I don't think that's what I'm feeling right now. I'm not lonely, but yeah, it's a sense of loss. I lost my best friend. How do you feel knowing that your best friend never existed? Fedra asked. People in your position often feel a sense of shame or even embarrassment once they realize the delusion. Are you feeling that way at all? No. Shame and embarrassment? No. Should I? Fedra shrugged. Some people do, but there's no right or wrong way to feel about these sorts of things. Litty hugged herself for a few seconds and then stretched her legs out and crossed her arms. I'm just sad. I miss him, real or not. That's it. Are you going to stay in here while I eat? That's the way we always do it, isn't it? I do have a surprise for you after you finish, though, as I mentioned. Litty laughed a little. It kills me. What do you honestly think I'll do if you step out of the room for a few minutes while I eat? You think I'll try to destroy all this lovely decor or something? She looked around the room at the assortment of beige and brown knickknacks. Fedra lowered her head and raised an eyebrow. You know why. I won't try to get out, Litty said. I promise. Just let me eat, and then we'll do the surprise. You're saying you want me to leave, correct? If you don't mind. Okay, but don't make me regret it, Fedra said. It gives me time to get your surprise ready. Fedra left the room and went down to the large atrium on the main floor. Warren, Litty's grandfather, was waiting there. Mr. Roberts, Fedra said, extending her hand as she walked toward him. Thank you for coming. Warren shook her hand. I'm glad to if Litty needs me. What's going on? You didn't give me too many details on the phone. Let's have a seat. They chose to sit on a large sectional sofa in a sunny bit of the atrium. Warren felt the cushion of the sofa. The sun's warmed it up quite a bit. Good. Are you chilly? No, but the sunlight feels nice. So what's going on? Fedra scooted over a little closer and looked around. This has to be kept confidential, she said. Warren looked around too. I won't say anything to anybody. Okay. Mr. Roberts? Call me Warren. Okay. Warren, Litty appears to be suffering from delusions. We think they've been going on for quite some time. Delusions? Like what? Fedra took Warren's hands in hers and turned more toward him. Warren, Litty believes she's seeing angels. This is a lie. She refers to the angel Aiden. You have never seen or heard this angel or someone who appears to be human. Aiden isn't real. Warren nodded. Say it, Warren. Aiden isn't real. Aiden isn't real, Warren whispered. When Litty comes in here, you'll smile. You'll be happy to see her, and you'll tell her that she looks well rested. We'll have to talk about this fictional character, Aiden. What will you say to her about him? Aiden isn't real, Warren whispered again. That's right. We don't want to entertain her delusions. It's not healthy. I want you to be compassionate and supportive, but you have to be firm, too. Other than that, I want you to just be your normal, charming self. Can you handle that? Warren nodded. I can, he said. Yes, ma'am. Anything for Litty. Anything for Litty, he repeated. Fedra let go of his hands and stood up. Good, she said. Stay here and I'll be back with Litty shortly. She returned to Litty's room just as Litty was finishing her meal. Litty looked up at her, perturbed. You did say I was going to get a Snapple today, Litty said. Remember yesterday? You said I had a breakthrough when we were talking about mind powers. The power of your mind, Fedra said. Yeah, anyway, breakthrough. Do I get a Snapple or not? We'll see. Leave your tray here and we'll take a walk. Is this about my surprise? Fedra smiled at her. It sure is. Come on. They took the elevator down to the main level and walked together down the long hallway leading to the atrium. Something odd I've noticed, Litty said, and then realized she'd started her sentence mid-thought. Odd? Fedra said. What's odd? Well, we never see anybody else. I've been here for, 2 weeks? At least that. How have we never even passed one single other person walking down the hall to your office? How is there just nobody down there? Isn't this the main floor? This isn't a busy part of the hospital, Fedra said. As far as never seeing anybody, take a look over there. She gestured to one of the seating areas in the atrium as they approached. Litty squinted in the direction that Fedra indicated and gasped, Grandpa! What are you feeling right now? Fedra asked, but Litty was already running toward Warren and didn't hear her. Warren stood up and walked toward her. Litty grabbed him and hugged him tightly. I'm so glad to see you, she said. You have no idea. Warren stepped back and took a look at her. I'm happy to see you, he said, and you look well rested. I should, she said, glancing back at Fedra as she approached. Sleep is about all there is to do here other than talk about your feelings. How are you? I'm good. Let's all have a seat, Fedra said. Litty and Warren sat side by side, and Fedra sat on the perpendicular part of the sectional to face them. How does it feel, seeing your grandfather here today? Fedra asked. Litty looked at Warren. It feels really good. I feel better seeing a familiar face. I want you to tell Warren why you've been staying here these last 2 weeks, Fedra said. Does he not know? Litty looked at Warren again. Did she not tell you? Warren shrugged and looked to Fedra for help. I just want you to explain it to him in your own words, Fedra said gently. Don't worry about what he does or doesn't know at this point. Litty sat up straighter with a strange little smile on her face. She looked at Warren. Do you remember the last time I came to see you? Was I with anybody? Did anybody else come with me? Fedra held up her hand. Don't ask about past visits, she said. Tell him what you've learned about your situation since you arrived here. Okay, Litty said. She turned to face Warren again. It seems that I've been having delusions. I've been seeing and hearing things that aren't really there. I thought I was seeing angels, like bad angels. Satan's angels, you know. I believed that one of them was a friend of mine. We hung out together, or I thought I was hanging out with him, but it turns out that he wasn't real. My brain conjured it all up, and it was so realistic that I believed it. Then my beliefs led to me stalking a man and making him fear for his safety. She looked away from Warren and down at her hands, which she was rubbing together in a hard, deliberate manner. Warren took one of her hands. It's okay, he said. You're here now, and you're getting the help you need. That's all that matters. Grandpa, I distinctly recall you interacting directly with Aiden. Fedra huffed. Litty. No, Litty said. Let me ask this. Remember when we came to your house and he allowed you and me to talk to Grandma? Warren looked at Litty, desperate to calm her nerves and tell her she was right, but in that moment he had no memory of it. Litty, I'm sorry. He glanced at Fedra and she nodded. I wish I could tell you that that was true. I'd have given anything to talk to your grandmother one more time, but it never happened, Litty said sadly. No. Warren pulled her gently in and hugged her. I'm so sorry. Litty buried her face in his jacket. It's okay, she said, though it was muffled. I have to learn to live with it. Not exactly, Fedra said. Learning to live with it doesn't imply acceptance, and acceptance is what we're ultimately striving for, one day at a time. Litty sat back up and let Warren go. She wiped her eyes. I'm trying, she said. We know you are, Warren said. Hey, Doc, can I have a word with you in private? Litty, would you mind? I don't know if I'm allowed. It's okay, Fedra said. Just stay in the atrium. Don't go out of my sight. If you could just go over that way. She pointed to the far end of the atrium. It'll just take a minute, Warren said. Litty walked away, faster at first to get out of earshot, but not before she heard Warren say that he was very concerned about her. She looked out at the trees just outside the window and the clear blue sky. Little pots sat on the ledge inside, filled with yellow and purple pansies. Her room had no windows, so the only view she'd had of the outside world for the last 2 weeks was out the small window in Fedra's office during their sessions. At the edge of the atrium was a tall, bronze, indoor waterfall. It sat several feet away from the wall and glistened in the sunlight. Litty moved in closer to take a look. So pretty, she said to herself, touching the pane of glass positioned between her finger and the waterfall. She saw her face reflected in the glass. She stared into the falling water, hypnotized by the sight and sound of it. An image began to form, distorted and blurry, as if it existed on the opposite side of the waterfall. Litty stared at the image as it took shape and then gasped when she realized what it was. It was Aiden's face. She ran around the waterfall to the other side, expecting to see him there, but the space was empty. She stared at the back of the waterfall, went around to the front, and looked at the front again. He's gone, she said, placing her right hand on the glass. The vague shape slowly returned. That's Aiden, she said a bit louder. That's him. I know it. She called out for Fedra and Warren to come see what she had found, and they approached. Look, Litty said. Look in the waterfall. You may have to stare at it for a minute. She looked back at the water, and the image was gone. Wait! It was just there, but now there, look at that. She saw Aiden's face take shape in the cascading water again, but clearer this time than before. Fedra and Warren studied the waterfall, and Warren shook his head. Litty, there's nothing there. You're seeing what you want to see in it. I know you want to believe it, but I'm looking and all I see is water. He's right, Fedra said. We both agree that there's nothing there but some falling water behind glass. Maybe the light made it look like a person, Warren suggested. No, Fedra said. Don't give her any leeway. Don't entertain the delusion. Litty, look at it again and tell me what you see. Litty stood there shaking slightly, her hands clasped together. She looked back and forth from Fedra to Warren. Y'all don't see anything at all. Anything. They both shook their heads. Litty stared into the waterfall again. I do, she whispered. Fedra took her hand and held it firmly. You don't see anything. Do you want me to say there's nothing there? Litty asked. No, I don't want you to say it. I want you to believe it. I want you to look into the waterfall and truly see that there's nothing there. Come on, Warren said. Look in there. You can do it. Litty stared straight ahead for a moment and then looked away. I can't. I still see him. And if I told you that I believe he's not there, I'd be lying. Fedra gave her hand a squeeze. Look at me, Litty. Litty turned to face her, feeling Fedra's grip tighten. Aiden is not real. You don't see anything. He's not in there. Aiden is not real. Say it. Aiden is not real, Litty repeated, glancing at Warren. Now, Fedra said, look again. Litty let out a long, slow sigh. Still holding Fedra's hand, she turned back to the waterfall. Aiden's face was no longer there. She laughed quietly and breathlessly. He's gone. No, Fedra said. He was never there. Say it. He was never there. Believe it. I do believe it. Fedra released Liddy's hand. Warren gave Litty a hug. That's my girl. I knew you could do it. Litty glanced at the waterfall one more time just to be sure. He was never there, she said. He was never anywhere. Fedra reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a bottle. She showed it to Litty. This is for you, she said. You've earned it. My Snapple, Litty said. Cherry flavor. She stared at the label and wiped some condensation off the lid. Fedra put a hand on her shoulder. Litty, are you okay? Litty bent over and started sobbing. Fedra grabbed the drink before Litty dropped it. Oh no, Warren said. What do we do? What's wrong with her? Litty sat down on the floor, still crying. Fedra and Warren knelt down with her, and Warren handed her a tissue from a little pack in his jacket pocket. Litty, Fedra said, tell us what's going on. I loved him, Litty managed to say. Her voice was shaky. You love him, Fedra repeated harshly, almost spitting out the words. Liddy's breath caught in her throat. She looked up a little, but not directly at Fedra. I did love him, she said. Whether he was real or not, my feelings were real. I don't care if it sounds stupid. She took the Snapple out of Fedra's hand. You took Aiden away from me, but you can't make me stop loving him, loving who he was to me. He's nothing to you, Fedra said angrily, and she jerked Litty back up to her feet. The Snapple bottle fell to the floor and shattered, spraying red everywhere. Warren tried to get between Fedra and Litty. Hang on a minute, he said. You don't need to manhandle her like that. Fedra gently pushed him back. Mr. Roberts, I'll have to ask you to leave now. She reached in her pocket for a syringe and needle, turning back to Litty. It's nap time. Chapter 121. Aiden, decked out in his usual suit and an apron that said Kiss the Chef on the front, was hard at work making pancakes, sausage, and scrambled eggs. Jerry shuffled into the kitchen, squinting in the bright overhead light. That smells good, he said. What time is it? 2:00 in the afternoon, Aiden said, not looking up from his work. I figured you'd be getting up soon. You had a late night last night. Jerry sat down heavily on a nearby stool. Yeah, but it was a hell of a night. The bungee thing has been a huge hit with everybody. Some of the players are going to get other people to come try it, and I don't think anybody's given away the gag with a piece of rope yet. He pushed a book of matches across the bar with his fingers. Frickin' righteous. Aiden placed a plate in front of him along with a fork. Jerry frowned at the food. Is something wrong? Aiden asked. I was hoping for more eggs. Coming up. Jerry watched as Aiden retrieved the pan of scrambled eggs and brought it over. He slowly scraped more eggs onto the plate. Are you okay? Jerry asked him. Aiden returned the pan to the stove and took off the apron. What do you mean? I mean, it's not a trick question. Are you doing all right? I'm doing what I'm here to do. Yeah, but how do you feel? I don't. What do you mean you don't? Aiden folded up the apron and set it on the bar. I'm neither happy nor sad. I'm just here. What did she do to you? Jerry muttered before taking a bite of his sausage. I beg your pardon? Jerry chewed for a long time and then swallowed, chasing the bite with some orange juice. You've gotten a little more animated over the last week or so. That's a good thing. Standing around like a statue and whispering everything was creeping me out. It's like with me. I've been feeling weird lately, like I'm bored or something. Maybe you are bored, Aiden said. I mean, I guess. Having all these parties here has been great and everything. It's good entertainment, but I feel like something's missing. He went back to eating, and Aiden started cleaning up some dishes. Purpose, Aiden said, putting some silverware in the dishwasher. What'd you say? You lack purpose, direction. You have no goals. Jerry sat up straighter on the stool, looking hurt. I've got goals. What are you talking about? Tomorrow night is the big mud wrestling tournament at the club, and Monster Jam's coming up. Then it's the... What are we doing after that? He shook his head. I don't know. Something. And then we'll do another get-together here. I've got tons of goals. Aiden wiped his hands on a kitchen towel and turned to face Jerry. He looked past Jerry and all around at everything he could see. Jerry turned and looked back, half expecting to see someone standing there. Then he quickly turned back to face Aiden. What the hell are you looking at? Something about this. Aiden continued scanning the area, his brow furrowed. This is wrong. He looked at Jerry, confused. Why are we here? You got me, Jerry said with a little laugh. That's a question for the ages, man. Aiden was about to respond when a tall, thin brunette walked into the kitchen wearing one of Jerry's robes. She came up behind Jerry's stool and playfully massaged his shoulders. Hey, babe, Jerry said before taking a bite of his pancakes. He chewed and swallowed while the woman drank some of his orange juice. Me and Aiden were just discussing something, he said to her. Why are we here? Why are we what? She glanced at the clock on the wall. Are you asking me that because my shift starts in an hour and I've still got to go home and get ready? He gently grabbed her arm and caressed her hand. No, we were talking about it like philosophically. What are we all on earth for? I am way too sober for this conversation, she said, and then took a closer look at Aiden's face. Is he okay? I just asked him, and I didn't really get an answer, Jerry said. Aiden stared at the two of them, saying nothing. Jerry stood up. He's glitching out. I know how to handle it. Why don't you go get dressed while I deal with him? What is he? Is it like epilepsy or something? Is he having a seizure? I have a cousin who has seizures sometimes. She has to take some prescription for it. What's it called? He gave her a slight nudge. Just go get changed and we'll worry about it later. She shrugged and left the room, headed back down the hall toward the bedrooms. Jerry walked around the bar and snapped his fingers in Aiden's face, but Aiden had no response. Come on, dude, Jerry said. Don't embarrass me in front of people like that. He checked Aiden's blazer pocket to make sure the piece of bracelet was still there, and it was. And hey, can you make me a little taller? He looked back to make sure they were still alone. I mean, you already made me taller, but can we do a little more, like 3 inches? She likes really tall guys. Aiden looked at him and slowly started shaking his head. Why not? Aiden didn't respond. This is stupid. Let me get her out of here, and then I'm calling Fedra over here to give you a tune-up. Jerry's house guest left a few minutes later, and Fedra appeared about 10 minutes after Jerry called her. She appeared in the living room and saw Aiden sitting on the sofa by himself. What's going on? She said, more to herself than to Aiden as she approached him. She sat down beside him on the sofa and rested her hands on his knees. Are you not feeling well? Aiden reached up to the outside of his blazer and patted it. Fedra smiled at him. You know, between you and other people, I hardly ever have any time to myself anymore. Do you think maybe you could take care of more of the things around here that crop up? Aiden lowered his hand and stared straight ahead at the wall. Miss her, he whispered. You miss someone? Aiden looked at her. Miss her, he said a little more forcefully. You don't know what you think. Just do what you're here to do. Aiden held her gaze with an intensity that made Fedra uneasy. Do you have anything else to say? She asked, forcing herself to maintain eye contact. You have. She looked down and saw that his hands were shaking. He seemed to be struggling to speak. No right. He said nothing further. Fedra reached inside his jacket pocket and pulled out the piece of bracelet just long enough to kiss it and return it to the pocket, keeping a firm grip on his left hand as she did it. I'm keeping you safe, she said. I'm protecting you from yourself. You may not approve of my methods, but in the end, I'm just looking out for you. Jerry came walking up the hall from the bedroom and saw Fedra. Oh, good. You're here, finally. What's wrong with him? He keeps spacing out and looking around like he's seeing something. Fedra sighed. Is he not being helpful? He's creepy, Jerry said. The creepiness is kind of starting to override the helpfulness. He's probably just tired, Fedra said. He needs to rest. Are you planning on using the city swing anytime soon? No, it's too cold up there for that. Excellent. He can rest there. Are you saying you're going to make him take a nap in the swing? Won't he get cold? Fedra raised an eyebrow and gave him a look. Oh, right. Yeah, angels. I forget what y'all are sometimes. Speaking of which, I have a new friend, and she's really into tall guys. I was wondering if maybe a new friend. Really? Jerry blushed a little. It's nothing serious. You want me to make you taller so she'll like you, right? If you can, yeah. Of course I can. You didn't ask Aiden to do it? I did, but he just stood there and shook his head at me. He's definitely ready for a nap then. Go lie down in your room and take a short nap yourself. I think you'll be plenty happy once you wake up. And my friend, you're not mad, are you? She winked at him. As long as you remember who you're spending eternity with. He stepped forward and stroked her arm. It's just you and me, baby. She smiled, her red lipstick gleaming. Absolutely. Fedra helped Aiden up the stairs to the rooftop and into the city swing. She laid him down amongst the pillows and covered him with a blanket. I won't turn it on unless you want me to, she said. His eyes closed. All right. Aiden brought his hand out from beneath a blanket and held it up just before Fedra closed the door. They'll notice, he said slowly and quietly. They? Who's they? Aiden smiled a little and opened his eyes. They'll notice, he said again. You're delirious, Fedra said. Go to sleep. She closed the door to the swing and quickly walked away before Aiden could respond. Chapter 122. Clare heard the clattering of the pneumatic tube before it landed in the holding bin after exiting the pipe. Sitting in her swivel chair, she spun it around and away from the receptionist's desk, got up, and approached the tube station. She glanced at the pile of plastic tubes, each about 18 inches long and hinged at the seam to be opened lengthwise. Several of the tubes on the top of the pile contained small slips of yellow paper. Clare pulled these tubes out first and lined them up across her desk to be opened. None of the tubes appeared to contain any red paper. Those are opened immediately and are top priority. Clare grabbed the farthest tube to the left and opened it, holding the open tube in one hand and grabbing the yellow slips of paper with the other. The sound of another tube rattling down the pipe made her glance back at the tube station for a moment before she read the notes on the slips in her hand. Another one, she said to herself as she read the first slip and slowly placed the open tube back on the desk. Not good. She opened one of her desk drawers and pulled out 4 yellow slips of the same size as the one she had just read. She fanned them out like playing cards and stared at them, frowning. Frank, her longtime companion in the waiting room, saw the look on her face and approached the desk. What you got there? he asked, motioning to the papers in her hand. Claire quickly folded the slips up and stuck them back in the drawer. It's nothing. Personal notes. It didn't look like they were making you too happy. It's personal. Frank leaned over the counter and looked at her. You sure do look nice today. Is that a new outfit? No. I haven't seen you wear it before. This is what I've worn every day since you've arrived. Nuh-uh, I would have noticed. Frank, I have exactly one outfit. So do you. Now why don't you quit with the small talk and tell me what it is you want? He stopped smiling and slumped, flopping his arms on the counter in frustration. I just want to know how much longer I'm going to be here. This is ridiculous. You can't tell me honestly that you have no idea. I received no instructions yet. Sometimes it takes a while. Isn't there somebody you can ask? People like you always have somebody, like an inside connection. Can you call them and ask them about me? Get a status report? People like me. He waved his hands back and forth. You know what I mean. Secretaries, receptionists, whatever you call yourself. Can you just do it? If there's any news, I'll find it in one of these tubes. She nodded at the tubes on her desk. Or the ones back behind me that I haven't gotten to. I've been busy. I'd be happy to. You can't touch these tubes, Claire said. The notes either. Those are for my eyes only. She opened another tube. You couldn't read them anyway, she muttered. Frank sucked some air through his teeth and drummed his fingers on the counter. Can you please go sit down? Claire asked. I'm sick of sitting over there. There's nothing to read, no TV. I can't even fall asleep to pass the time. What's up with that? Don't people sleep here? No. Nobody? Nobody. Gah! He paced back and forth. I have to know, Claire said. Why are you so anxious to go? I can't discuss details, but what's the hurry? I want to go ahead and get this over with, he said. Claire was struck by how very sad he suddenly looked. Just sitting here waiting is killing me. You're not getting it over with, Claire said. You're just getting started. She leaned in closer to him and whispered, There is no end, Frank. Frank stepped back away from the desk, eyes wide. I know that, he said, his voice stretching thin. He raised his eyebrows. I know. He returned to his seat and sat down, leaning forward and resting his elbows on his knees. He stared straight ahead as if he was trying to remember something. Claire turned her attention back to opening the tubes and sorting the notes into piles. She picked up a yellow one, read it, and looked back up at Frank. He caught her eye and sprang to his feet. Is that one about me? He asked, running back up to the desk. I'm not supposed to give this information out, she said. Come on, I won't say anything. Well, all it says is that there's a delay. That's it. None of those other little papers are about me? Not so far, no. Well, shit. Maybe there's more and you just haven't gotten to it yet. Just go have a seat, she said. I'll let you know if I find anything else. Frank sat back down. Claire gathered a large stack of notes out of the last open tube on her desk and read the one on top. Her eyes widened. She read the second, the third, and the fourth, growing more concerned with each one. She set the stack of notes down and took the ones out of her desk drawer that she concealed earlier. She laid all of the notes out on the desk and started putting them in order by date. Oh no. She looked up at Frank again. Frank, are you still looking for something to do? He perked up. Why? Claire stopped, reconsidering what she just said, and looked around. Never mind. Frank came back to the desk. What is it? Did you see something else about me? No, I just... She looked around and confirmed they were alone. You're freaking me out, Frank said. It's something bad, isn't it? He pointed at the notes laid out on the desk. What's in there? What do they say? It's a secret. Confidential. Well, who the hell am I going to tell? Claire looked down at the notes. Which means I can't ask anybody for help, she said to herself. But somebody has to go. Frank reached over the counter and grabbed the note closest to him. Claire tried to stop him, but he got it and pulled it away from her. He squinted at it. I can't read this. What is this, Arabic or something? She snatched it out of his hand, then gathered up the rest of the notes and stuffed them all in her pocket. It's not Arabic. Don't do that again. What is it you want me to do? I don't know, she said uneasily. I've never been in a situation like this before. Can't you call somebody? No, she cried. I can't. He backed up a step. Look, I need you to cover for me. Screw it. I'll go. Go where? What do you mean cover for you? Let's do this. If anybody comes looking for me, tell them say I had to go help someone. Then if they ask anything further, just say, it's okay. It's been pre-approved. Can you do that? I mean, yeah, I guess. Do I get to sit behind the desk? No, just stand right there where you are. Claire closed up all the tubes and placed them in a bin beside the tube station, and she stacked up all the remaining notes and put them under a paperweight on her desk. Dear God, she whispered over and over as she worked. She reached up and plucked the suction cup Garfield off the glass divider. Are you leaving? Frank asked. Like, leaving? Remember what I told you, she said. I had to go help someone, and it's been pre-approved. Help someone, pre-approved. Got it. Don't say anything else. I'll be back as soon as I can. She paused and then looked at Frank. Wish me luck. Good luck, but where are you going? The one place I'm not allowed, she said, and she disappeared. And we're going to stop there because it's late. I love Claire. You'll see more of her later. And we will start with chapter 123, and we have this much more, part 1. We're on page 530. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this little bit of the story tonight, and thank you so much for being here. I really hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.